Before streaming cues and autoplay, we had Thursday nights. We had a couch, a fountain, and 6 faces that felt like home. Friends wasn't just a sitcom, it was a ritual. But here's the twist, the comfort was engineered. The laughs were calibrated, and behind that coffee mug, steam sat a stack of secrets that changed television. Tonight, we're pulling the curtain on 15 weird, little-known truths the show still keeps tidy. You think you know this world. You know the lines, the beats, the hugs. But the real story lives behind the lens, in the contracts, and under that purple door frame. Watch how the perfect hangout was built, and what they never wanted you to clock. Part 1. Casting, Contracts, and Early Set Secrets. Secret 1. The opening fountain. You've seen the dance 1,000 times. Dark night, lamps glowing, splash, splash. Everyone called it New York energy. It wasn't New York. It was a backlot fountain in Burbank, filmed at odd hours, with a rented couch and a strict water temperature window so nobody froze. What's crazy is how this fake New York became the memory you're sure is real. The pattern here is simple: authenticity built on controlled illusion. Secret 2. Those apartment numbers. Early episodes tagged Monica and Rachel in apartment 5 and Chandler and Joey in 4. Cute. But someone finally looked up, saw the skyline out the windows, and realized they lived on high floors. Numbers that low didn't match, so production bumped them to 19 and 20 and never made a big deal about it. Remember this detail. Little fixes like this kept the world coherent, even when no one said a word. Secret 3. The moving walls. The apartment sets weren't rigid boxes. They were puzzle pieces. Walls vanished to make space for cameras and audience sightlines. Doors shifted. The iconic peephole frame was screwed to a free wall they could pop out when needed. Notice how this one explains those impossible angles. You felt like you were inside the conversation, not peeking through a window. That intimacy was design. Secret 4. The live audience wasn't just a vibe, it was a tool. Producers scaled jokes based on immediate laugh volume, then reshot beats the same night until the rhythm hit. What's wild is how precise it got. If a plot turn landed flat, they'd adjust a line or a reaction and go again. We remember it as effortless. It wasn't. It was work. Tight, iterative, fast. Secret 5. The early contract alignment. Before the show became a gold mine, the cast faced a divided pay landscape. The emerging solution? Quiet unity. The 6 started sinking their asks, small at first, symbolic more than seismic. It set the stage for what came later. Speaking of, we'll get to the $1 million pact, but the seed was planted here. No weak links, no breakout, negotiated alone. A friend group on camera, a block off camera. That choice changed leverage forever. Now casting quirks. Secret 6 starts at the edge of what might have been. The Chandler role wasn't locked for Matthew Perry. He was attached to another pilot that boxed him out. Scripts floated, tapes circulated, a few names orbited the part. Then timing cracked open and he slid into the role that fit like a custom suit. The takeaway: fate in television is often logistics, not destiny. An airplane delay here, a pilot cancellation there, and a decade of culture shifts. Secret 7. Ties to Monica. Early development leaned toward Monica and Joey as the central romantic hinge. Think about that. The energy would have skewed more playful and less slow burn, but chemistry tests in the room snuck Rachel and Ross to the front. You can feel the writers steering, then stopping, then letting the room tell them where the heat was. This next one takes it further. The show wasn't born perfect. It became perfect by listening. Secret 8 is a world merge trick. Lisa Kudrow was already Ursula on another show. Instead of ignoring it or recasting, the writers created Phoebe's twin. It started as a legal and logistical cleanup. It turned into a cross-network wink that made the universe feel bigger. Notice how this one reveals the show's confidence. When you're secure, you fold the odd into the orbit and make it a feature, not a bug. Secret 9 hides behind a coffee machine. Gunther wasn't designed as a staple, but the actor knew how to run the espresso machine, which made him useful on day one. Then a line, then a look, then a crush that became a through line. The pattern here is improvisational architecture. The show's stability let small organic accidents become character DNA. Secret 10, that orange couch. People assume it was a bespoke hero prop. In reality, it was found. The team pulled it from storage, gave it a place of honor, and built the coffee shop around its burnt orange charm. Here's the magic. One piece of furniture grounded the entire color palette and told you, without words, this is a living room for the city. A hangout that belongs to everyone. Speaking of belonging, the early episodes relied on an audience feedback loop so intense that a single beat could get rewritten between camera setups. And yet, you never felt the edits. That's because the cast locked into each other's rhythms fast. The contracts, the casting, the set fixes, all of it pointed at one goal: make the joke land and make it feel like a memory you already had. It wasn't just production, it was choreography. Part 2, behind the scenes drama and character changes. Let's shift to the drama that shaped what we saw. Secret 11, the pivot away from bottle episode purity. Midway through the run, the show flirted with darker stakes, breakups that lingered, career stalls that hurt. Not because the writers got bored, but because our Thursday habit matured. We aged up, so did they. The laughs stayed bright, but the hangover got realer. You can feel the tonal gear shift in those middle years. Secret 12, Rachel's hair wasn't a stylist's manifesto. It was a practical cut that went pop. Suddenly, salons had a new shorthand: the Rachel. Here's the weird part. Maintaining it on set took time and precision that ate into shooting windows. So they simplified whenever they could, keeping the look recognizable while protecting the schedule. Style, budget, and timing aren't separate lanes. They braid. Secret 13, the taping day was a marathon, not a sprint. Cast call in the morning, rehearsals, rewrite huddles, wardrobe tweaks. Then the evening audience. If a laugh died, the line changed, performance pivoted, and they tried again. This wasn't chaos, it was jazz, repetition with freshness. That's why the big emotional beats, doors closing, long stares, those almost kisses, felt earned. They weren't rushed. Secret 14 centers on a character we all quoted, Joey. Early drafts gave him more competence, fewer pratfalls, but the room realized the heart worked better when his optimism collided with reality. He failed big, then failed bigger, but his loyalty never cracked. That's the secret, failure as charm. It kept the ensemble balanced and made victories feel brighter. Secret 15 hits the writer's whiteboard. Ross and Rachel were mapped with on and off phases to reset the romantic stakes every few arcs. It wasn't an accident, it was an engine. New guest stars, new conflicts, then a quiet reset so the audience never felt locked into a permanent state. The pattern here is calibration. Keep tension alive, never exhaust the cord. Behind the scenes, the cast's off-camera unity kept on-camera triangles from souring the vibe. Negotiations stayed group first. Storylines took turns. If one star had a heavy arc, another got the comedic runway. It reads polite, it was structural. And it matters, because balance is why the show never spun into a single lead vehicle. We tuned in for 6. We got 6. Now, a micro-drama with real stakes, scheduled traffic. Guest stars had limited windows. When a schedule slipped, the team rewired beats to keep momentum. Sometimes that meant swapping a plot from one character to another overnight. You'd never notice, but it explains a few sudden switches. Like when a joke style feels borrowed, it probably was to keep the taping whole. Here's a tiny set secret that shaped tone: the applause thresholds. If an entrance earned extra heat, they'd let it breathe, sometimes adding a glance or prop beat, so the laugh rolled clean. That breathing room taught viewers when to cheer. The show trained its own audience, week by week, like a call and response. And one more character pivot worth clocking. Phoebe's edge softened. Early episodes gave her sharper weirdness. As seasons stacked, they leaned into warmth, letting the oddness land as whimsy instead of shock. It was a choice that protected ensemble cohesion. You can't build a comfort show on whiplash. You build it on familiar surprise. That's the trick Friends perfected. Safe chaos. It felt spontaneous. It was engineered to feel that way. Part 3. Unscripted moments and post-show revelations. Secret 11, the $1 Million Pact. By the late seasons, the six negotiated as one block: equal pay, equal raises, or no deal. It wasn't hype, it was leverage turned into policy. The ripple? Guest arcs got shorter, sets got tighter, and the network swallowed costs because appointment TV still ruled Thursdays. It redefined how ensembles think about power. Secret 12, the laugh that wasn't planned. In one taping, a prop failed. Door jam, beat missed, laugh building anyway. The cast didn't break, they pivoted. A throwaway look turned into a keeper gag, and the audience laughter stayed on the track. Notice how this one shows the live wire. When the room's hot, you use the heat. The edit protects the spontaneity, like it was scripted. Secret 13, the reunion rule. For years, they kept a quiet agreement: no reunion unless all six said yes. That's why every rumor died. No splinter specials, no soft revivals. One voice could veto. The power of that pact kept the show from diluting into mini reboots and preserved the memory as a single finished story. Secret 14, the mystery neighbor. Ugly, naked guy stayed faceless on purpose. The team kept the actor uncredited, turning a running joke into fandom folklore. What's crazy is how this absence created presence. The joke worked because we never saw him clearly. It let the audience fill in the absurd. That restraint is rare and smart. Secret 15, the final key. After the last take, the cast placed their keys on the counter for the shot we all remember. What most miss is the split-second stillness before they exit. That wasn't blocking, that was goodbye. The cameras rolled long enough to capture real weight sitting on a sitcom set. It wasn't just an ending. It was proof that the comfort we felt was built by people who cared. Now the post-show ripples. Streaming brought a new generation, which changed cues on jokes, timing, and even hairstyles. Syndication once chopped for time. Streaming restored beats, and some scenes felt new again. The cast contracts also paid back-end royalties, a long tail that showed how powerful ownership can be when a show becomes a perpetual rerun machine. One more unscripted ripple, the table read Bonds. Years later, when they reunited for a staged read, the rhythms returned fast. You could hear the old cadences lock in like muscle memory. That's not nostalgia. That's craft burned into timing. We grew up watching it. They grew up making it. Both things can be true. And here's a small prop confession. That orange couch, guarded like a crown jewel after wrap, tracked, insured, and deployed for rare promos only when handlers could supervise. A sitcom throne that became museum art. It tells you how the show's objects turned into relics. What ties all 5 secrets together is control, strength in numbers, respect for the room, trust in the edit, and one iron rule: only break the plan if it makes the moment feel more human. That's the operating system beneath the jokes. Conclusion: why the secrets still matter. Here's the takeaway. The comfort wasn't accidental. It was engineered with precision, protected by unity, and powered by a live audience that taught the show how to breathe. Knowing the secrets makes the rewatch warmer, not colder. It wasn't just a sitcom, it was a machine tuned for feeling. If you want more hidden threads like these, hit subscribe and jump to our next deep dive. Tell me which secret shifted how you see Friends, and what show we should unpack next.